Step 12, page 115. That's top 115. This is part 3. After we come into AA, if we keep on growing, our attitudes and actions towards security, emotional security, and financial security commence to change profoundly. Our demand for emotional security for our own way had constantly thrown us into unworkable relations with other people, though we were sometimes quite unconscious of this. The result has always been the same. Either we had tried to play God and dominate those about us, or we had insisted on being over-dependent upon them. Where people had temporarily let us run their lives as though they were still children, we had felt very happy and secure ourselves. But when they finally resisted or ran away, we were bitterly hurt and disappointed. Where'd it go? We blamed them, being quite unable to see that our unreasonable demands had been the cause. Okay, so unreasonable demands. If I could skip everything and not tell you anything, it'd be sure easier, wouldn't it? Got this from AI. Okay. Unreasonable demands for emotional security and overdependence on other people refers to a behavior pattern where someone excessively relies on others to provide them with a sense of safety and well-being. Good Lord. Often making excessive or unrealistic requests to meet those needs, which can strain relationships and hinder personal growth, essentially placing the responsibility for their emotional stability largely on others rather than developing external coping mechanisms. So at some point we gotta, as alcoholics, we have to change from depending on people to depending on God. And here are some examples, okay? Excessive need for reassurance, constantly seeking validation and approval from others, often needing frequent reassurance to feel secure. Fear of abandonment, intense anxiety about being left alone, leading to clingy behavior and attempts to control others. Difficulty with self-soothing, inability to regulate emotions independently, relying on others to alleviate distress. High expectations from others, placing unrealistic demands on partners or friends to fulfill their emotional needs, often leading to resentment, low self-esteem. Underlying feelings of inadequacy or worthlessness can contribute to overdependence on others. Let's be careful in the recovery community. We can be codependent too on someone else telling us, congratulations, I'm proud of you. Or, if you ever need someone to talk to, I'll always be here for you. And then when you're not capable, they're not capable of being there for you, getting resentment because they're not emotionally available for you when you need someone. It's the ego feeding proposition. We can't be people pleasers and God pleasers. You have to pick one. When we had taken the opposite tack and had insisted, like infants ourselves, that people protect and take care of us or that the world owed us a living, then the result had been equally unfortunate. That's entitlement. This often caused the people we had loved most to push us aside or perhaps desert us entirely. Our disillusionment had been hard to bear. Disillusionment. Overdependence on people is often caused by a combination of factors, including low self esteem, childhood experiences of neglect, or childhood experiences of overprotection, anxiety, a history of trauma, insecure attachment styles, and learned behaviors from family dynamics. Essentially, individuals may rely heavily on others due to a lack of confidence in their own abilities to make decisions or cope with situations, often stemming from negative past experiences. Okay? If someone has low self-esteem, I'm in a place where I probably need to not say anything. Ooh. People who take advantage of someone else when they're in a low mental state like this and try to use that and come in as a way to control or manipulate, in my opinion, are the lowest forms of scum of life on this planet. That's all I got to say about that. Disillusionment means a feeling of disappointment or dissatisfaction that occurs when expectations don't match reality. So if you're in an illusion, whether you put yourself in an illusion or someone else puts you in an illusion, you become disillusioned, means you wake up and realize you're not in reality. It can also mean being free from false beliefs or illusions. Can lead to feelings of confusion, hopelessness, and betrayal. If you're under a spell or an illusion that somebody else put you in, and then you wake up and realize that that was a lie, you're going to feel confused, hopeless, and betrayed. Ask me how I know. Yeah. We have failed to see that though adult in years, we were still behaving childishly, trying to turn everybody, friends, wives, husbands, even the world itself, into protective parents. We had refused to learn the very hard lesson that overdependence upon people is unsuccessful because all people are fallible, and even the best of them will sometimes let us down, especially when our demands for attention become unreasonable. I just read that. Fallible means you make mistakes. Unreasonable demands or expectations. I don't think I got anything on that. Okay. 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 As we made spiritual progress, we saw through these fallacies, lies. Now we're talking about lies and illusions, false beliefs, belief systems that have been passed down from generation to generation, ways of behavior patterns that were modeled to us by our respective families or whatever that we learned from someone else. Now you have to see the truth and unlearn it and break it. Another word for that is a delusion. So if you lie to yourself and you put an illusion on yourself, that's a delusion. It became clear that if we were ever were to feel emotionally secure among grown up people, we would have to put our lives on a give and take basis. That's a compromise. So we're not going to expect more from people, and we're not going to expect too much from ourselves. What is emotionally secure? Emotional security is the feeling of being confident and comfortable in the world, including in relationships. There's something going on in the world where people don't want you to be. It seems like if you try to get any kind of self confidence, they attack you and say you're too arrogant. So they don't want you to be confident in yourself, because if you do, then if you're confident, then it's not as easy to manipulate and control you. It's harder to lie to you, and it's harder to put you under false illusions to control you. It's a basic human need that's essential for healthy relationships. Emotionally secure people have a healthy relationship with their emotions and don't avoid or ignore them. That's a new thing. Ways to develop emotional security: be vulnerable, feel safe enough to express your true self, and be open with others. Improve communication. Avoid hurtful behaviors and reach out for professional support if needed. And I'd say even if you don't need it, pay attention to your feelings. Share only what you feel comfortable sharing. Be open to others. Try to think the best of others' intentions. Push through fears while write a list of your fears and work your way through them, starting with the least scary. Holy moly. Jeez. 123. Okay. We would have to develop the sense of being in partnership or brotherhood with all those around us. Partnership. 16. Brotherhood. A relationship of mutual respect, loyalty, and support among people who share common beliefs, goals, or experiences. It emphasizes a sense of unity, camaraderie, and commitment to each other's well being. So, obviously, we can't have a partnership with someone or brotherhood, whatever, same thing, that doesn't share the same mutual respect, loyalty, support, common ideas, goals, experiences, etc., and commitment to each other's well being. If you're in a toxic relationship, I don't care how bad you want it to work, it won't work. And the harder you try to make it work, the less it's going to work. And I can say that from personal experience. We saw that we would need to give constantly of ourselves without demands for repayment. Okay. So I'm not going to give more than I can afford to give. If I give too much of myself to another human being, I cannot be mad at them. My grandpa used to say, never loan more than you can afford to give. So you never make an enemy and you never lose a friend. Never do more than you would be willing to do without expectation of return, because you can't expect anyone at all, anywhere, at any time to reciprocate your efforts. If they don't reciprocate your efforts, you have to be okay with that. So don't give more than you can give. You won't get mad at yourself. When we persistently did this, we gradually found that people were attracted to us as never before, and even if they failed us, we could be understanding and not too seriously affected. When we developed still more, we discovered the best possible source of emotional stability to be God Himself. We found that dependence upon His perfect justice, forgiveness, and love was healthy, and that it would work where nothing else would. I'm not going to find emotional stability in another human being. You're not going to find it in another human being. It has to be God first. You have to choose one. I have to choose one. And I chose God. If we really depended upon God, we couldn't very well play God to our fellows, nor would we feel the urge wholly to rely on human protection and care. These were the new attitudes that finally brought many of us an inner strength and peace that could not be deeply shaken by the shortcomings of others or by any calamity not of our own making. Inner strength and peace. Hold on. Wow. Oh, I had inner strength and peace. Inner strength. Here it is. Unshakable inner strength and peace. A state of mental and emotional calmness that remains stable even in the face of challenging and stressful situations, signifying a deep-rooted resilience and a sense of serenity that cannot be easily disturbed by external factors. Essentially, a strong foundation of inner peace that persists regardless of life's ups and downs. Key aspects are inner strength, the ability to withstand difficulties and navigate challenges with a strong sense of self and resolve. Inner peace, a state of mental tranquility and calmness, free from anxiety and worry. Unshakable, not easily swayed or disrupted by external circumstances, implying a deep seated stability. How to cultivate it? Mindfulness practices, meditation, deep breathing exercises, being present, understanding emotions and thought patterns, positive self talk, learn to bounce back. This new outlook was, this new point of view, this new attitude, this new way of thinking, this new outlook was, we learned, something especially necessary to us alcoholics. For alcoholism had been a lonely business, even though we had been surrounded by people who loved us. But when self-will had driven everybody away and our isolation had become complete, it caused us to play the big shot in cheap bar rooms and live Fairforth alone on the street to depend on the charity of passerby. Okay, so when Self-will, 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 a wrong kind and a right kind. Self-will is considered a negative trait as it typically refers to stubbornly adhering to one's own desires and ideas, often at the expense of others, leading to selfishness and potential conflict. However, a healthy degree of self determination and agency can be positive when balanced with consideration for others. So, the negative aspects of selfishness are when someone prioritizes their own wants and needs above others, causing harm or disrespect for others' feelings. Okay? You want what you want. If you're going to do it at the expense of someone else, that's negative. If it's mutually agreeable and is mutually beneficial for both people equally, then that's not selfish. That's not negative. Uh, Refusing to compromise or listen to different perspectives leads to inflexibility. Control issues, trying to manipulate situations or people to fit one's own agenda is self-will. Lack of empathy, difficulty understanding or caring about the needs of others is self-will. Positive aspects, self-reliance, having the confidence to make your own decisions and pursue your own goals. Assertiveness, standing up for your needs and beliefs in a respectful way. Personal agency, taking responsibility for your life and choices. Surrender to God, not people. Be willing and open to different ideas and perspectives. Willing to listen to others' point of view. Uh, Fare forth means journey. So when self-will drove everybody away, had to fare forth alone. We were still trying to find emotional security by being dominating or dependent on others. Right. Dominating and dependent on others. AI. The tendency for individuals to exhibit either dominant or dependent behaviors can be largely attributed to a complex interplay of factors, including early childhood experiences. Ding, ding, ding. Social conditioning, personality traits, and individual self esteem, which are often shaped by a combination of genetic predispositions and environmental influences, leading to a, a variety. Varying levels of confidence and reliance on others in social situations. Key factors contributing to dominant behavior are high self-efficacy. Individuals with a strong belief in their abilities are more likely to take initiative and exert control in social interactions. A need for control, a desire to manage situations and outcomes can drive dominant behavior. Assertive personality. People with naturally assertive traits tend to express their opinions and needs readily. Positive reinforcement. Past experiences where dominant behavior led to positive outcomes can reinforce this pattern. Dominating means to have a powerful and commanding position, or to be the largest, most important, or best person or thing. For example, you might describe a team as dominating if they are winning and outplaying their opponents. To rule or control. A lot of control addicts around too. To have a guiding influence, to overlook from a superior position, to be predominant, to have mastery or control, to occupy a superior position, to be very important, powerful, or successful. Yeah, dominating. Conquer, overpower, subdue, subject. Dependent is reliant on, unable to do without. Okay, where are we at? Going to page 117. Wait, if we really depend on God, we don't rely on others completely. Okay, page 117. Even when our fortunes had not ebbed, ebbed means like when the ocean ebbs and flows, it pulls back. So even when our fortunes had not ebbed that much, and we nevertheless found ourselves alone in the world, we still vainly tried to be secured by some unhealthy kind of domination or dependence. That's a harmful kind. There's a healthy kind and a harmful kind. We want to learn what the difference is. There's coping patterns. Coping. Secure. Secure means feeling safe, free from fear. For those of us who were like that, AA had a very special meaning. Through it, we began to learn right relations with people who understand us. We don't have to be alone anymore. I have a note that says balance between domination and dependence is the space where God belongs. Most married folks in AA have very happy homes. To a surprising extent, AA has offset the damage to family life brought about by years of alcoholism. But just like all other societies, we do have sex and marital problems, and sometimes they are distressingly acute. Distressingly acute. Causing anxiety, sorrow, or pain. Acute is severe or intense, severely painful. Permanent marriage breakups and separations, however, are unusual in AA. Our main problem is not how we are to stay married, it is how to be more happily married by eliminating the severe emotional twists that have so often stemmed from alcoholism. Severe emotional twists. Here are some severe emotional twists. Basically, triggers from the past cause emotional breakdowns, also known as nervous breakdown or mental health crisis, is a period of intense emotional distress. Symptoms include anger, irritability, mood swings, emotional outbursts, physical symptoms like dizziness, sweating, nightmares, muscle tension, difficulty breathing, irregular heartbeat, poor eating habits, shaking and tremors, insomnia or hypersomnia, and gastrointestinal symptoms. Wow. Gaslighting, a covert abuse tactic that causes confusion, questioning reality, and feeling crazy. can lead to doubting yourself, your perception, your judgment, and your abilities. These are severe emotional twists. This is what it pulled up as, okay? Unhealthy behavior patterns, triggers from the past. One more is borderline personality disorder. People with borderline personality disorder may feel emotions intensely for long periods. They may also have difficulty returning to a baseline emotion. Guilt tripping. I know this one. Guilt tripping is a manipulation tactic where people use guilt to get you to take responsibility for something that is not your fault. Isolation and depression, emotional abuse and neglect, shame, ignorance, compulsion, self will. That's all I got for that. And it says these stem from alcoholism, and I think that a lot of them don't. I think that when this was written, we've learned a lot more about how alcoholism was our solution to these types of issues and these unhealthy coping patterns and learned behaviors that caused us so much mental emotional anguish. Conflicting instincts, whatever. Nearly every what is this? Page 80. Hold on a second. See, and we got it again on page 80. Severe, yeah. Very deep, sometimes quite forgotten, damaging emotional conflicts persist below the level of consciousness. Yeah, same thing. Nearly every sound human being experiences at some time in life a compelling desire to find a mate of the opposite sex with whom the fullest possible union can be made. Spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. From AI, fullest possible union with someone of the opposite sex would encompass a deep and complete connection on multiple levels, including physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual intimacy, where both partners feel fully seen, understood, and supported in all aspects of their lives, fostering a strong sense of shared purpose and mutual respect. Physical intimacy, a fulfilling sexual relationship that's not just about physical pleasures but also expresses deep emotional connection and intimacy. Emotional intimacy, open and honest communication, sharing vulnerabilities, providing emotional support and comfort in challenging times, and feeling safe to be oneself completely. Intellectual connection, engaging in stimulating conversations, sharing ideas and perspectives, and intellectually challenging each other while respecting different viewpoints. Spiritual connection, sharing similar values and beliefs, aligning on life goals, and feeling a sense of shared purpose or meaning in life. Mutual respect, valuing each other's individuality, respecting boundaries, and supporting each other's personal growth and aspirations. What constitutes a fullest possible union will vary depending on each person's unique needs, values, and expectations within a relationship. Commitment and effort. Building and maintaining a deep union require ongoing effort, communication, willingness to work through challenges together. Healthy boundaries, even in a deeply connected relationship, maintaining healthy personal boundaries is crucial for individual well being. Sugar water. This mighty urge is the great root of mighty urge is the root of great human accomplishments, a creative energy that deeply influences our lives. God fashioned us that way. So, our question will be this: how, by ignorance, compulsion, and self will, do we misuse this gift for our own destruction? How do we unknowingly, compulsion is just like automatically doing something without thinking, I guess, and selfishness. Do we twist that gift in such a way where we're destroying our relationships? We AAs cannot pretend to offer full answer to age-old perplexities, but our own experience does provide certain answers that work for us. When alcoholism strikes, very unnatural situations may develop, which work against marriage partnership and compatible union. Unnatural situations. If the man is affected, the wife must become the head of the house, often the breadwinner. It's codependency. You know it? Ah, what is that? Okay. This will be the last page, I think, if I can make it. As matters get worse, the husband becomes a sick and irresponsible child and needs to be looked after and extricated from endless scrapes and impasses. Wow. Okay. Codependency is a dysfunctional dynamic where one person assumes the role of the giver, sacrificing. I didn't finish the rest of that. Okay. Extricated means how Al-Anon started. Codependent, a person constantly prioritizing their partner's needs over their own, feeling anxious when they're apart, and neglecting their own hobbies and social life to cater to the partner. So maybe the alcoholic is the alcoholic, and then the wife or the husband or whatever would be the codependent or Al-Anon. Codependency, yeah, a dysfunctional relationship dynamic where one person assumes the role of the giver, sacrificing their own needs and well-being for the sake of the other, the taker. Is not a clinical diagnosis or a personality disorder. Partnership is a partnership versus codependency. A partnership refers to a relationship where two people share responsibilities, goals, and decision-making power equally, maintaining their individual identities while supporting each other. Whereas codependency describes an unhealthy dynamic where one person becomes overly reliant on the other, often sacrificing their own needs to please the partner, resulting in an imbalance of power and a lack of personal boundaries. I know a lot of what not to do. Equality versus imbalance. In partnership, both individuals have equal power and agency, while in codependency, one person often feels dependent and needs to please the other to maintain the relationship. Individuality versus enmeshment. A partnership allows for individual growth and separate interests, whereas codependency can lead to a blurring of boundaries and a lack of personal identity outside the relationship. Mutual support versus enabling always came from AI. In a partnership, support is given with the intention of empowering the other person, while in codependency, one person might enable the other's negative behaviors by taking on too much responsibility. What is this? I don't know what this is. Compatibility? Okay, that's the next page. Okay, yeah. Oh, Lord. Let me get through it. Okay, the wife, yeah. Obviously, not much partnership can exist under these conditions. Here we go. If the man's affected, the wife must become the head of the house, often the breadwinner. As matters get worse, the husband becomes a sick and irresponsible child who needs to be looked after and extricated from endless scrapes and impasses. He needs to be disentangled from never ending, embarrassing situations very gradually and usually without realization of the fact the wife is forced to become the mother of an erring boy, a misbehaving boy. And if she had a strong maternal instinct to begin with, the situation is aggravated. It's actually made worse by that maternal instinct. Obviously, not much partnership can exist under these conditions. The wife usually goes on doing the best she knows how, but meanwhile, the alcoholic alternately loves and hates her maternal care. A pattern is thereby established that may take a lot of undoing later on. It's a behavior pattern, a learned behavior pattern. Anything that's learned can be unlearned. That is a characteristic way of acting that is repeated over time. It can apply to individuals or groups and can be a chain of actions or thoughts. Examples include passive aggression, hostility, codependency, acting on impulse, and self sabotage. Behavior patterns can be learned through experience and can begin in childhood. Maybe that's the way you see your mom and dad act, and that's the way you feel like it's supposed to be. But it doesn't work that way. Nevertheless, under the influence of AA's 12 steps, these situations are often set right. Codependence Anonymous, Al Anon, therapy. You don't know what you don't know, and you can't teach yourself what you don't know. So you need to find someone else that does know, because if you're stuck in this, you don't know. And you can't help yourself. When the distortion has been great, however, a long period of patient striving may be necessary. When a distort means to twist or pull something out of shape or alter or misrepresent facts or motives. Distortion, if it's warped, okay? When the brokenness has been great, a long period of patient striving. Strive means it's like almost like a physical exertion to make some effort, achieve, or obtain, okay? After the husband joins AA, the wife may become discontented. She's not satisfied, even highly resentful. The Alcoholics Anonymous has done the very thing that all her years of devotion has failed to do. Her husband may become so wrapped up in AA and his new friends that he's inconsiderately away from home more than when he drank. Okay, inconsiderate. Thoughtlessly causing hurt or inconvenience to others. That's what inconsiderate means. Inconsiderate means when you're not thinking about it, okay? Maybe it's not intentional, but you're harming someone else by not thinking. Seeing her unhappiness, he recommends AA's 12 steps and tries to teach her how to live. She naturally feels that for years she made a far better job at living than he has. Both of them blame each other and ask when their marriage is ever going to be happy again. They may even begin to suspect it had never been any good in the first place. We're at the top of page 119, and that's where I'm going to start next.